Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett, your Soccer Talk co-host, alongside my good buddy Blake Siebers. Siebes, what's going on today?
Lovely Sunday. 3 points for the Toffees, helping the relegation, and get back on the YouTube channel, folks.
Yeah, we're working on getting all the kinks out. But in the meantime, we are here with a Game of the Week pod. That means we've got the Titan tactician here with us, Matt. Say hey, Matt, how are you?
Doing good, guys. What's up?
Great. Um, what is up? Blake, what game do we go into on
Well, we
Friday night?
swung over to Grubb Stadium there to see the Roosevelt Rough Rider boys take on the North Polar Bear boys.
Good intro. Give us a little weather report. How was it the other night?
I mean, it was cold.
Yeah, it was. It was breezy too.
We were thinking it was going to be good, nice weather out, and it was chilly. The sun went down, wind picked up, and unfortunately, like typical spring soccer game in the beginning of the season.
Yeah. And atmosphere though, um, at the Grubb Stadium as opposed to playing at MediaCom. So I think the girls played there. But I don't know. I kind of like Grubb Stadium a lot. What do you guys think?
Old school community vibe a little bit, I thought.
Yeah, for sure. How did you even get parked? Because I got booted. I had to go walk from across the street. So like parking was at a premium. Sievers used his
That's why I know
his CAC
that's
parking
one thing I know how to
skills.
do, Ben.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, let's just hop right into it. It was a more lopsided game than we were expecting. I think we were planning on seeing a pretty tight contest, and the Rough Riders were maybe just a little too much for the Polar Bears. We had some good talks with both coaches at halftime. They'll give you a little insight so you can see those on social media. Um, on Instagram, we're at what? We're at KIF Soccer. On X, we are at KIF_soccer. And on Facebook, we're KIF Soccer, I think. So check those out there. And then let's just hop into it, Matt. Give us the
Everybody's been waiting. That's what the people come on the pod,
they,
listen to the pod, watch
they
the
want
YouTube
the
channel. Here we
analysis.
go.
So what do you got, Matt? Bring up, why don't you get your clips all queued up for us? And
Yeah, I'm ready to go in just a second. But what I wanted to add before I even we get into actually talking about the game is just a little bit about North, because you mentioned that the game was lopsided, which it was, and I'll just let the listeners know that, and because I think most people do anyway, that North got beat pretty bad, and it was over within the first 25 minutes of the game, 30 minutes of the game. The game was over. It was 4-0 already. So with that said, this game reminded me a little bit of Johnston Dowling last year. Remember when Johnston came into Dowling's place and smacked him around pretty good? And I think after the pod, I came away saying, man, I can't believe that scoreline was like that, because it felt to me like Dowling was the better team. That was last year. And that was kind of the start of some of the heat we started taking from the Dragons.
Dragons, yeah.
Or I guess not so much Blake just because he's a dragon, but maybe Ben and I and me the most. But to me, it was a little bit of the same, because I thought, except for those first 25 minutes, North played some really good stuff, and they actually kept possession of the ball quite a bit throughout most of the game. And of course, we know here that it doesn't really matter how much you possess the ball, you have to win the game. But I thought North looked good, and I'll add to that, I think that's one of the best North teams I've seen in the 20, 25 years I've been here in Des Moines, just all around on the ball. So they got beat pretty bad, but I was really impressed from what I saw. And I think they've really got something going there at North. We were able to watch those guys play before the season, because they came to our 4v4 tournament.
Yep.
At the
It's 5 mini pitch.
Yeah, club mini pitch. And if I took away anything from that day, or if I remember anything, it wasn't necessarily it was the games and the results, but it was actually that North team, because every single one of those players, when they spoke to you, they spoke to you articulately, or me anyway. They seemed smart, they were respectful, they were nice. And what I took away from that is there's a real culture that's being built at North right now. I think something that's been lacking probably for years, just because it's really difficult, I think, to build a program at North and the culture like that. But I really like those players. So going into the after my experience with them, not even knowing anything about those boys, just being around them and not even necessarily talking to them, just observing what's going on. And so I went into that game actually rooting for North just because I liked them. And so that's the one thing that I'll take still a takeaway from me is I was rooting for North because of who I think and who I perceive those players to be, which I hope is taken as a compliment. And I think it should be a huge compliment to their coach as well, who has got something going there. And I hope he sticks around for a long time because he's building something special, I think, on the field and off the field.
Yeah, so credit to Leland Shipper, the head coach there, the North Polar Bears, and for sure to the boys as well. Roosevelt, Rough Riders on the other side, Coach Matt Ream. He had his boys ready to go, didn't he? Straight out of the gate. And I think for both these teams, all these Metro games are really a big deal. So, whoever the matchup is, whether, you're talking about East, Lincoln, North, Hoover, or Roosevelt, whoever's playing, if it's some combination of those five teams, like it's a big game for everybody on the field. And I know that for city teams, a lot of times like that becomes like they don't care if they make it to state if they win the city, right? Like that. I mean, and maybe they care obviously if they go to state, but winning the city is a big deal. Winning the Metro is a big deal. And so I think Roosevelt clearly up for the task.
Yeah, big time. And
that was what Coach Shipper said after we chatted with him a little bit via text the next day. And he was just like, yeah, we were just so flat. We came out flat with no energy. And I don't know what the deal was.
yeah, and I mean, I was pleasantly surprised from what I saw from Roosevelt. They haven't had a team, I don't think, that strong from what we saw in several years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And I think there are two or three players that for me really make the difference. And there's some of them that play right in central midfield, and one in particular that I want to show you guys and talk to you a little bit about here. So if we're ready to go, I'll share my screen.
Oh, we're ready.
So like we said, it's 4-0 real early in the game. So the game's put away pretty quickly. But let's just watch the first goal here. Before we start, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, we're a little over 5 minutes into the game, 34-42. So the ball we're going to pick this up. The ball's on the left-hand side. It's
throwing
going to
for
be
Roosevelt.
Yep, throwing for Roosevelt. So let's just watch.
Also, good shout for the YouTube because North has some awesome pink jerseys.
Yep. The ball's bad clearance by North. Here's a shot. Love the aggressiveness there. There's one player who fouls up the ball and scores the goal.
So it looks like the goalkeeper has maybe a little mistake there.
Yeah, the goalkeeper does, but
big mistake.
What I like most about this is the awareness from the Roosevelt player who scores a goal. And I'm gonna pull up some still shots, but we'll just go.
I think I know who you're gonna criticize too.
I've got less criticism than I do compliments for the Roosevelt player.
Good.
Because look at the edge of the box right now. We see the player who's going to score is on the edge of the box. If you watch now just directionally, look where all the North players are moving.
Staring at the ball too.
They're all moving out, and look who's moving in. He's coming late. And this is just incredible awareness, I think. And look, now there's no secret why he's the one who scores the goal. But if you're a striker, you're always thinking about scoring goals, right?
Should be.
And so that's exactly what this guy is. He's actually a midfielder. But so I've just got some stills here for now. This is picture one. So the Roosevelt player's throwing in the ball. I've got the eventual goal scorer circled here. Look, he starts 25 yards out. And if you look at the body shape of all the players, everyone is facing the ball except for, I think, the goal scorer. The goal scorer is looking, but he's actually in a position where he can move forward. So a couple seconds later, now you see where he is again. The player who's got the ball right now actually is right here, and he's setting up here to take his shot. First of all, I love how goal oriented this decision is, right? I don't think many people are thinking, is he going to shoot or going to cross? But he's going to take a touch out of his feet and score right away.
Well, what did the weatherman say about it? It was chilly but it was breezy, wasn't it? There was a very swirling wind, um, as evidenced by our afternoon outing as well.
Yep. But all of these players here are going this way. Every single North player.
And so I like that you're being positive about Roosevelt, but if I'm Coach Shipper, or even maybe I guess worse in the scenario, one of the defenders or midfielders here, we call that ball watching, right? And they're not aware of really anything except for what's happening directly with the ball, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks that way.
Yeah.
And then when you watch the shot on goal and you see how your guy reacts, they're still all facing forward and like not reacting to what's going on.
Yeah. If there's any for North, just these little moments, right? And the 1v1 battles, that's what let them down in the game. I think collectively as a team, they're right there, but their individual moments really let them down here. I mean, the other thing, Ben, you look at here is look how much space the player with the ball has.
Lots.
I mean, when you're 25 yards out, you have to close the ball down. And so it's a theme too, I think, throughout the game. When North went to close the ball down, they're just kind of these half tackles, right? Or it looks like you get there, but then you just kind of pull up. Um, Sean Holmes, he used to call that, and this is going to sound a little harsh, but he used to call that pretend defending, right? When you would show up to the ball but not actually make an effort.
Yeah.
Um,
I was worried you were going to say something much more offensive. So
no, but I mean, I just don't mean to be too critical, but that's what that is, right? I mean, that's not pressure on the ball, and you pay for it here, or North paid for it here.
big time.
So if we go, I don't know why that's doing that here for me. Here's the next still, right? Again, the ball now is with the goalkeeper, and let's not forget the goalkeeper did make a big mistake here, right? The goalkeeper clearly drops this ball, but I think before it even happens, this ball should have never gotten to the goalkeeper.
True.
Arguably, right?
What's a throw in?
Yeah.
Right? Like not a long one. Okay, next clip.
Yep. So this is the second goal. And so I've got my stills pulled up here for now, but the player I want to highlight, you see the shoes, the orange shoes. This is why I think this is the same player because I don't know these guys very well. But if we go,
it's hard to tell the numbers.
If we go back up to the goal scorer, let's see, he's got his orange shoes.
Yeah, good call, Matt.
Orange shoes.
If there were programs that might have helped.
Yeah. Real quick too, though, before I go here, look where he shows up right in the middle of the field. I would call this kind of the hole right in midfield. So if we start the second goal, the ball is on the left, obviously, with left side of the screen with the center back who's going to place it on a free kick. And you see where the central midfielder with his orange shoes starts here. So I'll go back to my video.
He's getting better. There's not much time for filler.
I was going to say, you should really check.
Ball starts with a free kick. It goes out to the left back. Left back loves the positive pass there, right? Nice pass. It cuts out at least 5 North players. Down to the left wing. Player cuts it back.
Ooh.
And what a strike, huh?
Yeah, that is a really nice strike. And I mean, I don't know what you're going to say, but that was like 3-4 passes and then boom, they're in behind him and goal.
Yep, exactly.
Like that was a quick build up.
Yes.
And not necessarily direct. It was just like quick passing and get forward.
Yeah.
Like you said, attack oriented.
And it comes from it comes from Leland's got. I know he's frustrated, but it comes from a free kick.
Yeah, and is in the back end of your
away.
middle third. And look where they play it. They play it negative. They play it back to their goalkeeper first before they play it out to the left back. And it almost invites North, like their front 5 guys up the field.
Absolutely.
And then we look at this. There's a big gap in midfield.
Right. Well, Ben, to your point, look where, if we look at right now, this is before the player takes the free kick. Look where there's not one single North player that's ahead of the halfway line right now. And so then if we take it then just forwards to, this is when the player plays that long pass in. the first long pass that beats all these players. I mean, look how many North players he cuts out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a really good example of playing backwards to go forwards and invite play in. It's really good play from Roosevelt, actually.
And look at, I mean, there's no other North boy. They sucked 5 out, and where are the other 4?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I wish
Unfortunately.
we could get a larger screen. So, do you have a screen grab of the next one, Matthew?
The screen grab what?
Like of the next scene, essentially, right? So after the boy plays it forward,
Yeah.
the like left center back plays the ball forward. What's the next? We're gonna
Yeah.
get a video of that.
I've got that, but before I even go there, I want you to watch the player with the orange shoes too, because I think this is really important. Because I'm gonna a little bit later on, I'm gonna talk about how on the other side of the ball they've got a player that's lacking like this. Because like, if you look at this player, he's sitting in center midfield here, right? But as we go into the second, still, this is when the left back or the left center back plays it long forward.
That's good. This is a good picture.
Look where this player with the orange shoes is standing, and if you watch,
You can tell his intention is to go forward too, right?
exactly what we've seen a lot in high school players so far this year is everyone's just gravitating towards the ball, right? And what he's doing actually is he's coming here a little bit, but then he's just sat in the hole here.
And he's anticipating that pass, but he's also in a position if they were to give the ball up, he can react and defend.
Correct.
But he's anticipating that it's what's going to happen is going to happen. And you also look, if you do the math, right? There's 5 Roosevelt players, and you mentioned 5 North players, and he's the 6th Roosevelt player, just sort of sitting between the lines, waiting.
Yep, exactly. So then let's go to the next one then. So here now, this is actually the player who scores, right? So the ball is all the way up, and there's the player who's going to strike it and have that really nice finish. But again, look where the player in the orange shoes is standing now. And what I really like about this is he doesn't need to be in the box, but he's in a position where, let's just say this shot gets blocked. I mean, everything we know is going to feed into here, right? And so he's in a position where if that happens, he's going to collect anything in here, right?
For sure.
And so I like his movement a lot, because we saw him as the ball got played into the left back, he kind of sat in the hole. Now as the ball skipped him, he's still sitting in the hole, but he's got great awareness, I think, in terms of where he needs to be on the field to help his team.
Okay, so this is the picture I wanted to see though, because we can do the math quick. There's 6 North players in their defending third, 7 if you count the goalkeeper. Am I right? No, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7 if you count the goalkeeper. So that means there are 4 guys for North that are up the field. But then look at the gap between those 4 that are up attacking players and then the players that are in the back. I mean, there's just probably 20-yard gap in there that the player in the orange shoes for Roosevelt is just sitting in that space, hanging out. And so to me, that just shows a little bit, you're a little disjointed. And then you have 2 players defending the ball, and the player still finds a way to get a shot off from, an angle. It's a great goal. But if you talk about the pretend defending, like if you've got 2 guys tight to him, like it looks like they are, I mean, there shouldn't be a chance.
That's got to be a block there, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no way.
Yes, correct. If I'm Matt Ream, I'm going, guys, awesome. Everything there is exactly what we're trying to do. But if I'm Coach Shipper, I'm like, guys, problems. There are major problems here. We have to defend with a little more pride. And I think too, you're talking about the moments in the game, right? You mentioned the first goal came about 5 minutes in the game. This is just 5 minutes later. So we're still in the 10th minute or so. And like, if you think about, we talk about the first 5 and the last 5 minutes of the game, but if you just break the game down in 5-minute segments and you're giving up goals in the first 2 5-minute segments, like that's not great.
Here's another point to be aware of, because I believe this is what happened on the third goal. And another point for the North players is, look at this player here. So he's got to be thinking, because this guy hits an unbelievable shot and curls it into the top corner, right? But if the goalkeeper were to save this and drop it, or it hits the post, look who's going to collect this right here.
Yeah, not great body position.
He's facing that way, and so he doesn't know what's in behind him. So I think that's just another little pointer. It didn't end up affecting the play here, but But something to be aware of, and I think it'll feed in the next point here. All right, you ready for the third one?
Let's do it, Matt. You're crushing it with your clips today, all organized and moving along nicely. We barely have to do any filler.
I mean, just to go, this is timing wise, fill it in because you talk about 5 minute
No,
segments.
it
This
is. It's
is
the
your
next 5 minutes.
third 5 minute segment.
So this is going to be the third goal. And you can see down here, there's still 25 minutes left in the first half. So within 15 minutes, they're down 3-0. That's just that sucks. You know, I don't know if you guys have been a part of games like that. I certainly haven't been on the wrong end of those
Oh,
things.
absolutely.
And it's hard to, when you go down early like that, to stay in the game. And so I think that's one positive for North too. I don't think they ever gave up. This is
Definitely
a game
didn't.
that could have been 7 or 8, but once they kind of got through the shocker here in the first 15, 20 minutes, they held their own. The other thing that's was really a factor here we should mention is the wind.
For sure.
And so the Roosevelt was going with the wind in the first half, and that's the other thing that really I think affected things. So as we pick this up, again, I've got this player with the orange shirt shoes circled. If anyone who still is going to play North is watching this, I mean, look at this is the third clip, third goal, and look who we're circling, the same player again. Look at where he's sitting again. He's sitting right in midfield, right in the hole, in a great starting position. All right, so let's watch the clip actually. All right, so another throw in, by the way, too. Let's just stop
On
real
the
quick.
left. Same, I mean, on the left side as well.
Right. First one was a throw on the left side. Second was a set piece start. Third is a throw in now again. All right. All right. So watch the player with the orange shoes. Great position for a tackle. Watch the outside of the foot pass here. Off the post and in the net.
Wow, and good foreshadowing too from Matt talking about the left back and his body positioning, but all the way around, right? So first player in the orange shoes, we're gonna figure out who this kid is, by the way, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
he anticipates really, really well there, but I think again, like North wins the ball, and they sort of, it's like a little bit of a donkey touch, and player with the orange shoes is there to sweep things up.
yeah.
And what's he do? He immediately starts the attack. First ball forward. I love that.
Yeah, and like just watch this in slow-mo again. So here he is. Here's what I like too. If you watch this, notice how everyone's running except for him. He's walking. I love that because everyone's running and he's walking.
It's up on the screen,
Oh,
man.
I don't know what's going on.
It's
Oh, sorry. It'll
we
still
go.
be there. You just lost my screen share. So he's running and everyone else is running and he's walking.
Yes.
I like that because he's watching the space get created in front of him.
But it's not crowding it.
Yep. As this ball here, I want to mention this too, by the way. This again is killer for North here. So the player that's going to receive the throw in here, watch what he is able to do. There's the throw in. He jumps up. He's got a behind the back
heel
kick, which is a kind of a cool little piece of play there.
Nice little Cruyff pass behind, but it's like,
yeah, it's creative. But then all of a sudden now, look, we've got a defender with North having to come win the ball. Takes a bad touch. And then here's the man cleaning it up right here.
And not a tackle again.
yeah. But then I love this too. Like he eliminates, like he beats the defender with a little shift, and then he immediately passes it forward with the outside of his foot.
Right. So good here. This shift to the left, shift there. And then this is going to beat 4 players right here. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's just go back to this though, right here. If you're the North player, this goal does not happen. All you have to do is be touch tight to this guy. I mean, even give away the foul, do whatever you don't even have to foul him. But this goal does not happen if you are tight up against him. If you look at this player, he's got cover in behind him. There are 4 North players are on the ball, but this is what you call not very good defending.
Correct.
So,
Pretend.
yep. So, um, here's just a couple of stills we went over. This is the orange shoe player and mid-central midfielder. He's going to win the ball here. Here's his outside of the foot pass. And then, like I said, I don't have the still of it, but that final moment in the goal really is not good for.
There's a couple pieces to it, so let it run for a second. This player for Roosevelt, whoever this is, for like he like I mean, he bullies to get the ball. Like he works for it there. He wins it, he loses it, he fights for it, and then he squirms through there to get a shot off. He rattles off the crossbar.
Do you notice that? Look at this. Is this a handball? Watch this. Watch this carefully. So he cuts the ball back. He puts his hand down.
It's really hard to tell.
Does he collect that with his hand?
That's really hard to tell.
But
Nobody argues.
No.
I guess that would be my thing.
Yeah,
one,
They would-
two, look at it. 4 players are on the ball though. Talk about bullying players around.
Yeah, and then he just slips through. I mean, this is slick. He just kind of squirms through,
Yeah.
beats the guy. I mean, it's a little bit of a nice bounce to him, but then I'm sort of thinking he's going to play across here, right? And instead, attack oriented, attack minded, smashes one at the crossbar.
With his left foot, but look at North's left back, looking at the ball, not aware of what's behind him.
Yeah,
And of course, that's the player who scores. Goalkeeper's got to do a little better there too.
yeah.
So that's the third goal.
I think so. Is the weak side defender, Blake? You played as a weak side defender a fair amount, right? As an outside back, or even sometimes as a center back. What are things you're thinking about when you're in that position?
I mean, like you said, it's got to be body shape first of all, right? Because you can't see the guy that is
Yes.
out.
Right. So you got to open your hips and you got to be able to see both the man and the ball, right? And that's it's a little bit of a trick, right? Like you can't obviously see, you don't have eyes in the back of your head. So what do you have to do? Head on a swivel. And the other thing you do,
Yeah,
hand
I was
on
just say
it.
you got to touch him.
Yeah. Not hold the jersey, but just, know where they're at. And I mean, that's just a lesson. I mean, it's one of those things when you're growing up learning the game, most of the time you are talking, you're more worried about that pressure and like the immediate cover, but that balanced defending of being sort of like not really a part of the play, really like that left back has nothing to do with anything that's happening, like, except all of a sudden he switched off, didn't have his body position, didn't know where his guy was, and his guy scores. And it's one of those, sometimes when you're that defender, you're like, you don't even know what's happened because you weren't paying it. I mean, because as much as we're saying we've done it right, like, man, I've done it wrong a lot.
Oh, it's so easy to just to pay
It's a
attention to the ball.
challenge.
And especially too, I wonder if he's left-footed or right-footed, that left back, because when you're a right-footed player playing on the left or left-footed player on the right, it's really easy to close your body and just kind of look at the ball because it's just like where you feel most comfortable with your strong, your dominant foot.
Yeah. All right, goal number 4. So 17 minutes left in the first half.
So they lasted a couple more than 5 this time.
Yeah. So here's what I did on this one. This goal actually comes off of a free kick, but I was like, okay, I want to go back a little bit further and see where North had it last and where they gave it away. But as we move into this clip, consider the player we've been talking about in central midfield who has provided basically with Roosevelt with that strong spine in the team, right? I mean, he's there as an attacker. He's there to collect the ball. As a defender, he's there to win the ball. So if you look at this picture as we just start right away, I mean, look what's missing already. You see what's missing in North, because North has the ball. North has got a throw in here on the right-hand side. And if you look at it, you've got a huge gap in central midfield. Here's the other thing. North is playing in a 4-3-3, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't see the North, the North, there's one North player off the screen who's actually way up high and to the left.
Yeah.
But North's three midfielders are in a line here in the center of the field.
Yeah, they're square, no depth.
And then you've got the 4 at the back. The other thing you've got here too is there's North striker, their center forward, who I liked a lot actually. He's a freshman, number 2.
Oh yeah, he's a good player, good little player.
Left-footed.
Yeah.
Look where his starting position is.
He's too deep, right? He needs to be like, you see the defender with the white shoes who's playing most likely center back. He should be all the way, like, again, touching him, holding onto him, and creating all that space underneath,
Yeah.
hopefully for his midfield to work into.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's play it and then we'll go. So here's the throw in. Ball gets thrown. It's not to feed, it's into space. There's a takeaway. Look, central midfielder wins the ball. Different player though.
Yikes.
Ball's played. He's got to commit to make the foul. So I'll let this play through just so the viewers can see the goal, but the goal is not necessarily what I think is the thing to watch here for North. It's how they gave the ball away.
Yeah, player gets a yellow card for the tackle, which is actually probably a good call from the referee.
Yeah.
Because he's stopping a counterattack. Okay, ball gets floated in.
And there's the goal. Set piece.
Just beats the goalkeeper to the ball.
Yep.
So there, I mean, again, Roosevelt goal comes from free kick. So
Yeah,
four goals.
and in winning the ball and quick transition that creates the foul, which then eventually results in the goal.
Yep.
Because I think that's what you want to highlight, right? Is the transition.
It transitioned, but even so, I think just giving the ball away in their starting positions here. So here what I have pulled up now is where North has the actual throw in. So what I would suggest here, first of all, if you look at this picture, number one, let's think about who's throwing the ball in.
That's what I was gonna add. Like you have four in the back. Why?
Yeah.
Like, to me, you're right back.
And
Where's the ball?
your back four right now, you can see there's a big gap from midfield to the back four.
Right. So number one, right back's got to throw the ball in. And for me, that it's him, right? It's him right here. This player should be setting the ball down. And maybe it depends. One of these guys, I mean, just sit right in here, right? Right in front of them. Or it depends because you've got four at the back right now. But I'd like to see, it sounds counterintuitive because North gives the ball away in a foul. But I'd like
spread out more.
I'd like to see them much more aggressively placed in the attack right now.
I mean, like even so you mentioned having somebody drop in that hole where some coaches would call that like the six, but like that defensive midfielder role, sort of as the pivot in the back there. If you tuck somebody in there, it also allows your left back now where he's in the middle of the field, right? He's tucked all the way in as the weak side defender. Doesn't that allow him to open all the way up? And if in theory, if they don't have, if it's not on forward, that player that's sitting the pivot can win the ball or pick the ball up or receive a pass, turn, then switch the point of attack. And then you're dangerous.
Yep. Right. I mean, I'd like to see this player here, like further, right? I'd like to see this player all the way up against this player. I mean, there's another player actually over here who I kind of like where he's at to begin with. But I think what you're saying, Ben, is this guy can come out wide, right?
And if somebody's in that little pit in that hole, so right here,
Yeah.
right, and you're blocking off the yeah. So circle that hole for me though, quick, Matt, because if you put somebody in there in a pink jersey, not only do you might actually stop this attack that comes to fruition, but then you're also there to like switch the point of attack.
Yeah, and based on how North is set up, it could also be him.
Absolutely, it could be one of the defenders.
I mean, Roosevelt's nobody around.
Right, defender steps into that space. Hopefully, that's confident and
by the way, too, so the other player I've got circled here is the center back. So watch where he becomes important, and this is why
he steps out to make the tackle. Right.
Exactly.
Again, if you have that sort of holding player in there to act as a pivot, you're maybe able to make that foul sooner and less dramatically because it's a pretty hard tackle. I like it, but
so here they've given the ball away now. So the ball is with the Roosevelt player here, who is going to play it into midfield. Again, this is where North just gets absolutely beat because there's the
big gap.
There's the hole, right?
The one that we were talking about.
Yep. And so then if you, again, here's our center back who, based on this positioning here, I mean, if everyone's going to be here, one of these guys has to be a little bit closer to the guy that's going to receive the ball here.
And he's the one that makes the play and is fouled.
Yep. So things change a little bit here. And now Roosevelt's on the break. And so here we see our center back now who is coming in to commit to win the ball. And that's the last photo I have.
And just show the video one more time.
Yeah.
But as the defender steps out, like he's forcing himself to make a tackle because he's just, he's coming straight onto it. And you almost have to stab in because the speed of approach is too fast. He can't turn and go back with the defender. He's overcommitted himself. So it's your choice is to give him the Blake Siebers Raptor attack, which is what he chooses to do, or he does a little Olay defending and just lets the guy run right by him.
Yeah. But again, I mean, like it all starts with the guy not putting the right midfielder, not just putting the ball down. That gives the center forward a little more time to get higher against that boy in the white boots.
Yeah.
And allows the proper guy to throw the ball in.
Yeah. And here, so just it's tempo, right? Just slow the tempo down and let that happen. So let's watch it again. Here's the throw in. Here's the ball gets played in midfield. This play.
I love the first pass forward, and then this guy.
Here's the center back committing, and there's the foul.
The other thing too is if you take it back just a little, there's another defender here in the white shoes for North. So player for Roosevelt, I mean, I think that while the center back comes out and makes the tackle, is it maybe this other guy that's a little closer to the ball can get away with a lesser foul and just sort of run him out of bounds and maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look at where the center back, look how much ground he covers. Wearing the white shoes is 4 yards away.
Yeah. And so if he just like shepherds that a little bit out wide, slows it down a little bit, and you just, I mean, that's a foul, like a hand, it's just a pull on the arm or a little push. And there's probably not a yellow card, and you stop the play in the same fashion.
Yep. Look at our left back again, too. He's just, if you're the left back watching this, just think about what's over your left shoulder there because.
Yeah, this is when you have the opportunity to open your hips.
Yeah.
Right. This is where you change your body position as you're coming into the field. If you're left back, right. Because he's good right now, right? His hips are right, are correct. He's good. And then all of a sudden he's got to make up some ground. Fine. But then you got to rotate your hips, back pedal.
Yeah.
And see what's going on. Right.
Yeah. And then it's just like decision making from the center back, right? So like you said, he doesn't have to make the tackle here, but right. But his time to make the tackle though, like was way back here, right? Like this is where he needs to recognize if there's no one in there, step up and make this tackle. Like here's where, I mean, I guess he goes backwards here, but so I think it's just some decision making and stuff like that by North. But so those are the 4 clips I've got for you guys.
Well, and so you've got 17 minutes on the clock, right, Blake? And that's
it's over. Yeah, it's. I mean, I think everybody kind of knew at that point. It's going to be a challenge to get back into it, and North never could.
Yeah, credit to North for not giving up, obviously, and keeping it where it was. I'd be curious if something changed, like because I obviously wasn't like monitoring the subs or anything like that, but if they changed players around, or if it was just guys on the field who woke up a little bit and.
Well, Roosevelt did, right? Roosevelt put quite a few new boys, or I don't know how you want to put a bunch of new fresh boys in.
Yeah. Some guys that weren't starting the game.
Yeah.
So maybe that that helps a little bit too. Maybe it's sort of some of your second group or guys that haven't gotten as much playing time coming in to get an opportunity to play in a big metro game. But then and again, I would say if that's the case, like credit to the Roosevelt guys for coming on and keeping things clean in the back, holding the shutout. And that's an all-around team win for Roosevelt. And I saw Roosevelt play against Dowling, arguably one of the top, 5 teams in the state for sure. I think not arguably, I would say one of the top teams in the state for sure. And it was the other way around for Roosevelt. Like they looked like they struggled. And so it was, good to see them do the other version.
Yeah, and they've got Roosevelt. So we talked briefly. They played the night before, handled Waterloo East 10-0 easily. Then they should win again against Fort Dodge, and they got a big game against Hoover on Friday. With North, we talked about it, right? North disappointed Friday night. They actually go back and win a couple games Saturday.
Nice.
Again, not probably not as high of a competition, but batter Grinnell 5-0 and take care of business against Panorama 10-0. So clearly got over it, but
Where is compared compared to that's Charlie, my dog. Compared to uh other years, how is North seasons going so far? That's what I'm curious about, right? And
I mean they're 6-4, so they've already won 6 games.
I have to imagine that that is one of the best seasons they've had in a while. I think maybe they've probably had some 500 seasons, but that's a really positive start for North.
Yep.
And these players, we only showed them defending today, but I mean, when they're on the ball, they've got really skillful players. They like to do some little tricks and flicks and stuff like that. They're great on the ball. They're good at keeping the ball. And one of the things that I think is difficult for them as well, there is that field so small.
Yeah.
You know, with a little more space and with a little bit more ability for those guys to open things up, they might be a little bit better on the ball. The only thing I'd be concerned about is defending on a bigger field for North.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they could probably use a little bit of discipline in that area in the defending third and just sort of in transition and you know, understanding when there's danger from an attack. Because I mean, I think we saw in all 4 of those goals, it was Roosevelt, you know, like making a quick transition, being attack minded, and they're just like the polar bears weren't reacting quickly enough or anticipating the attacks. And I think that becomes, I mean, that's a little bit of a mentality and it's like a discipline. Because as much as you want to go forward and score goals and, you know, it doesn't matter how many times you do that if you get scored on 4 times.
Very true. Anything else, boys?
I'm out of
Out of juice.
commentary.
Fair enough. All right. Well, stay tuned for another game of the week. We're not quite to May, but man, it's getting close and the season is ramping up. What do you got for us, Siebes?
Stay tuned. I don't have anything else. Thanks for watching.